that being said, Kai, where are we going now?
I believe we're doing tricep press downs.
Now, there's a million different ways to do these. Obviously, there's ropes, there's handles, there's straight bars. Which one are you picking now, and what was the reason for picking it? Was there any particular reason?
You know what's real interesting? It's funny. I almost feel like, as an athlete, training for competition or training, even in the off season, there's this kind of walking meditation that I think you end up doing unconsciously while training. And some of the it's funny because as you're posing this question to me, I'm realizing that for the most part, these are things that are usually on automatic pilot, so much so that I can't even recall the explanation that I was working with when actually being led to walk to and begin to perform this movement. It was almost just like on automatic pilot, and knowing that this is what we do, at this time in this training sequence. But I guess in an attempt to try to answer that question, the idea I'm thinking would be to work, the long head and short of my tricep simultaneously, concentrating on creating a maximum contraction at the bottom of the movement, and more importantly, try to keep it out of my elbows and keep it on the muscles.
So what handle do you want to use?
Oh, wow.
Not the question. So, Victor, you give me the answer here. Why'd you pick the straight bar handle?
Straight bar. First off, you use the rope is more for shape. Get that shape in there, get that definition. Right now, we want power. Most exercises we're doing right now is just power, and that's what the straight bar does. And we notice we started with the double axle, takes away a lot of the pressure from the elbow. But as we keep going along, it does get a little light, and we had to step it up to the just the straight cable push downs.
All right, that makes sense to me. Kai, your triceps are looking pretty freaky in that. Were your triceps always a good body part for you, or is this something that you worked hard and got?
Yeah, I think it's something that you just kind of work hard at. I hear a lot of people say things at times, about, someone having, genetics, this genetic predisposition thing. And I think, long before, genetics can even really be seen at the surface, I mean, there's just so much work that just has to be done. I feel like, I worked very, very hard, long before I ever was able to, begin to discover whether or not I had, genetics to do something or not. Yeah, so, I think it's just a lot of hard work. And eventually, if you do have, whatever genetics potential is there, it'll, certainly be revealed at some point, but definitely not without the effort and the work in the beginning.
Victor, when you started competing, were your arms a strong body part for you, or did they just develop over the years into a good body part?
Well, arms are always an issue for me. I mean, because I started out with the love of wrestling and drawing, so I pretty much didn't want my arms to look, with height peaks and striated tricep. I just wanted a big, full arm, just like the wrestlers, So fortunately for me, that did not happen. And I created the fullness and the muscle bellies of bodybuilding just by basically doing my arms just once every couple of weeks, because I easily overtrained when I was younger because not having the right nutrition and the right foods to help me recover. So I mean, I was a hard gainer, and that's the only way I would gain was by doing them less frequently.
Interesting, and a lot of people, most of the beginners you see in the gym who want big arms, they're overtraining their arms. They're doing arms 3 times a week. They think that the more they do them, the more they're going to grow. Have you ever fallen victim to that, Kai, where you've trained, too many times a week and realized that it was counterproductive?
Absolutely. But you know what? I think that there is some fruit to be gained from that too. From the continued punishment, I think sometimes what can happen is you can also develop a sharper neurological connection between your mind and the muscle groups that have been overtrained. And, maybe, it has in some ways, held you back in the way of, maybe developing the size, but definitely with the new and sharper neurological pathway or link between your mind and that muscle, I mean, once you make the corrections, I think gains will definitely come, because you'll be able to, train the muscles more efficiently, with a better strategy later on.
That's a pretty interesting point, and I don't think anyone's ever addressed that the fact that you can overtrain is not necessarily productive in a sense of building muscle initially, but is building neurological pathways. And come to think of it, a lot of people ask me why I had good legs, and I was a long distance runner for many years, and maybe just the neurological pathways I built up from that, even though I never had big legs when I was a runner. When I started training them, I had a much better mind-muscle connection. So that's a very interesting point you make. I learn something every day. Also, I'm not just the one giving out the knowledge. I'm always learning something. Vic, how many sets are we doing here? And do you feel that this is the main mass-building exercise for triceps, or what, if not, which exercise is?
This is definitely not the main mass builder, but it does dig deep into the fibers. It really gets in there. It hits every part of the triceps. I mean, all three heads, whether you like to or not, and it gets right deeply in there. I believe more of the mass builder is the following exercise we're going to do, which is going to be a close grip bench press, allowing us to really handle more of the weight and really contracting deep in the triceps and just pushing on those pounds. This really builds up that mass right in there.
You guys look like you know each other pretty well. Do you guys have a history together? Who should I ask you? Who wants to answer that question? Victor, how do you guys know each other?
Yeah, we go way back from Johnny Lat's gym days. With 2 treadmills in the gym. One straight up bike, one becoming bike, and doing lopsided squats and all that good stuff. It was actually one of the greatest gyms in New York. Being the turn of the century. Gyms. But it was a great gym. It no longer exists, but I was able to meet Kai there, and it was just great. And Kai's always been big. This guy is just. He's like, basically, I've been waiting for him to come this far, but he was just, like I told him earlier, he was lost in the NBA, WBF, NGF, organization. I don't even know, man. I didn't know it existed until I found out Kai was competing in it, But he's always had that greatness in him, and I met him in Johnny Lat's, and we go way back, man. That gym, you could find us there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 3 o'clock in the morning. Either way, we New Yorkers do it late, man.